Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jackie Janik. I am a women's empowerment coach helping women define their purpose and create their own path in the world. And today you are watching Beyond Small Talk, the 4 o'clock hour every Thursday, where we have real women, real conversation, elevating womankind one talk at a time. Thank you for joining, and I'm so excited to have co-host today. Her name is Lauren, and you can find her at Lauren Mara 13. She is a New York City educator. She is a mother, she's a wife, she is a sister, she's like one of my BFFs, and I just love her to death. And was really feeling to call to bring to Beyond Small Talk is just a riff with your best friend. Like, just let's go in, and it's just so great to have someone in your life that you could have all types of conversations with, and it's a form of self-care. So that's our topic today. I asked Lauren, what did you want to talk about, because she's not so fond of social media. So Lauren, I know you're listening and waving, but I know you're not, and I'm just so grateful that you're here to support Beyond Small Talk and willing to come on. And our topic today is, let's get her on, self-care and WTF. I just had to add the WTF because she's like one of those witty girls that you just have to add that on.
Hi.
Hi. Oh,
Of course, right in time for my dog to start barking. Sorry, everyone.
that's okay. Hi.
Hi. Thank you
How
for
are?
having me.
Of course. How are? Oh, your pup. How are you feeling today?
I feel pretty good. I'd feel a little bit better if Storm wasn't barking, but of course, I mean, that's
I
what
mean, that's what
I was
happens.
prepared with lots of treats. Shush, food. And of course, it just started raining over here. What about you?
No, it's a beautiful, beautiful day right now in LIC, and thank you. Oh my God! So I was just telling everyone, you're not a huge fan of social media, so I really appreciate you coming on. And today I just like posted a little thing how we met,
I love that.
and I think you remember, but I call you my friend of like the queen of the one-liners, because just so everyone knows, Lauren is super witty. She's so good with like the English language that I'm like jealous of like how you use it. And you just make me laugh. So anyway, I was so grateful that my mother had this strategy of giving me a pack of gum to make friends, and it worked. So
I
in
love
college, could you believe 1994, Oswego orientation, we were in the same group together, and I still remember, I don't remember what I ate last week, but I remember meeting you. We were sitting in a circle, and I asked you, you want a piece of gum?
And that was it.
And that was it.
The
26
rest
years
is
later, we're still
history.
friends.
Yeah.
And it's what's so interesting is that as our friendship evolved, so many experiences have aligned that we've just been like people to lean on each other during that time. But I want to hear, like, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us about whatever you want.
Well, thank
Just
you
talk.
again for having me.
Yeah.
I'm Lauren. I live in New York and I teach in the city and I teach fifth grade in East Harlem. And it's totally a way of life and not just my job. And I have a daughter and I'm married and I have a dog who is very vocal. So he'll be chiming in every now and then for sure. I'm just looking to take care of myself in this crazy time so that I can be ready for whatever happens in the future, because everything is so up in the air and everything is so unknown. So just trying to take care of myself so that I can be ready for anything.
Yeah. And I'm sure, especially you're a New York City school teacher for how many years? Like, you dedicated your life.
I've been teaching, I think this is like my 22nd or 23rd year. And I've been in East Harlem for most of that. So
And
it's
yeah.
totally a way of life. And
And it's so impressive. And I have to say, like, Lauren has been really a lookout for me working with the DOE, what they're saying, what they're doing. And, you know, like you said, there's the unknown. But what do you think, how's it going with your students? And what have you learned from your students? Like, can you tell us a little bit more about what you get? Like, you teach them a whole lot, but I'm sure they're teaching you, especially during this time.
You know, it's funny. I actually don't remember, probably like most people, I don't remember that much about life pre-pandemic. So just in the
Is that
last,
a big blur?
I mean, I don't know. Is it just me?
No, like,
I
what
don't
was
think so.
life in January?
I
I
have no
know.
idea. Even like February 12th, I'm not quite sure. Um, and I say February 12th because the last time I
Yeah.
went into my classroom, I looked and it said Friday, February 13th on my board. And I was like, oh,
Oh
super
no,
creepy.
yeah.
um, but I, especially this year, I learned from my students authenticity. I mean, he agrees for sure. You cannot be fake at all.
Mm.
And just the resilience of my students. I mean, not only the pandemic, but everything that's happening now with, protests and fighting again and still for civil rights. My students and their resilience and their honesty. And it was just, I was completely honored this year to be their teacher and um, to see them work through these, life-changing moments with such grace. And it was truly an honor to be their teacher and to, be on that journey with them this year. And we'll see.
Yeah, because the population, I just want people to understand the population that you teach and how much effort and just caring and loving and kindness and no judgment that you deliver as a teacher and for doing it all this time. Like, if anyone knows East Harlem and you know how much it means for even your students, if you could talk about the population, to have the lunches and the breakfast, like,
Yeah.
it's a large deal. Do they all have iPads? No. Wi-Fi? Like, how do you, just briefly, because that
Yeah.
says a lot how much you're learning from them.
Yeah. So my school is a Title I school, which means 100% of the students in our school qualify for free lunch. The demographics in my class this past year, my students, I had a class of 23 students. One of my students was Albanian, and the rest of my students were Dominican, Puerto Rican, and Black. Um, and it was just amazing to see how resilient they were and how they just took to remote learning almost overnight. Not all of them
Hmm.
had iPads, but we supported them through the process and we had really good results at my school, which I know is not the norm for the city and certainly not the norm for our neighborhood. My school for sure is not perfect, but there are a couple things that we do really well. And getting a majority of our students to participate in remote learning was one thing for sure that we did really well. And that was amazing. And, worrying about what will be for them in September if we are remote. Is definitely a big concern because I'm going to have new students that I don't have a relationship with yet. Um, and so then I have to get them to trust me and to, go and brave these uncharted waters. So
Yeah.
it's been quite an experience.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And like, you hit the nail on the head. It's not only the education, it's the relationship building. And like, that's number one key to getting not only do you build it with the students, but their families,
Totally.
parents, or finding one advocate. It is
Yeah.
so important to have just one advocate for each child, and then you'll see the difference. So after that kind of school year, was that to
That
who
was
you blowing
Ellie.
kisses to? Oh,
That was Ellie.
hi.
She just
The
got home from
little
camp. She grabbed the iPad and ran right upstairs. She's going to take full advantage
a
of
bit.
mommy being busy for a minute.
Good for her.
Of course.
Um, is that after, like you said, who remembers pre-pandemic? You're teaching online. All the students are teaching you just as much, and like looking at their authenticity. You said resilience, and now you coined this summer for yourself as
Yes, this is the summer of self-love. And summer of self-love mainly because there's so many other things that we have to worry about and take care of right now. I cannot be bothered to put on makeup before I go to the grocery store. And I have a closet full of fun summery dresses because I have my grandfather's legs. But you know what? I mean, I'm not feeling a floral, summery dress. I'm going to the grocery store without makeup on and wearing the shorts that I've never allowed myself to wear out of the house. So just, taking that time to take care of ourselves so that we can be ready for whatever happens next. Because, I mean, I'm not alone, I'm sure, in saying that if you would have told me, wait, I can't, 6 months ago or 7 months ago, that we'd be fighting over toilet paper and
yeah.
I'd have to be afraid to hug my neighbor, I wouldn't have
Hmm.
believed you.
Yeah. Or that
So,
you'd be teaching these students online.
I mean, they know Storm, they know what my bedroom looks like. I mean, your relationship really changes when you
Yeah.
get to see your students in their pajamas. So,
Yeah.
that was for sure my favorite part.
Oh, that's so sweet. And like they text you. Like I was really like I haven't heard of many teachers giving out their phone numbers and like texting and like this is the level how you really build relationships and you make a difference in many people's lives, especially all your students, mine too. So like just having this conversation with you is just you're just like the best.
Aw.
And I want to share another one-liner because I called
Oh
you like
God.
queen of the one-liners.
Okay.
So this is another one. Lauren and I, while we went to college together, I left Oswego for some reason, and there is reasons because like the universe has made us stay in each other's lives because there's a reason, right? I left Oswego, you were still there. We talked, we didn't talk. And then just years passed, like years and years and years, like almost 10 years passed. But we both have a mutual friend. Her name is Erica.
That's it. It was
And
magic.
yeah, and Erica was getting married in the city of Rome. And we both always make fun of like Rome City. Like, don't insult the word city, like Rome. It's all like, who knows where Rome City is? If you know, good.
If you know,
But
you
most people
probably went to school in upstate New York.
right. Otherwise, you would have known. So it's really, really far upstate. So for some reason, through Erica, Lauren and I were like, all right, let's go. Like we were both not married. I wasn't married, right? No kids, nothing. So she picked me up at a train station, and this is after not seeing each other for 10 years at least. Jump in a car, hours driving upstate, smoking a joint, and it was like as if we were never not together. Like that a day hasn't gone by that we didn't talk. And it just is so good. So anyway, that's how we met and why our lives have aligned. Because after that, I feel like we both have went through, before grief, we both have lost our fathers, and that was one of the one-liners you gave me, was like you told me that the feeling doesn't change, but you learn how to live a new way. So that was just so, like, I use that all the time because, like, when the grief comes up, and you know grief just as well as I do, that it's still that big bowl of grief and it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily change, but we just learned how to live differently.
Yeah. It never
Um,
goes away. Never goes
yeah.
away. It changes. It's more manageable sometimes, and sometimes it's more painful. So it never goes away, but it changes. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I pass that message on to people all the time, that it's okay that you always have this bowl of grief with you. And it's just a way of how do you manage it. And one way for me has always been talking to you about it, and that knowing that you're not alone, that's why I think self-care and growing and nurturing friendships is like one of the must do's of self-care. Because if I didn't have someone like you and gone through those experiences, like kind of not together because your dad passed before mine, but just knowing that I had someone that I wasn't alone just felt so good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it always amazes me that we don't see each other as often as either of us would like, but it's so true that whenever we're together, it's like no time has passed because there's so many deep and meaningful connections.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like calling it this part of self-care because I don't think that people always would think that nurturing, growing, and supporting a friendship is really part of it. So then another one-liner, like I have a ton of your one-liners because I just think we were walking
I get
into
nervous.
these are all the PG-13 versions.
Oh, okay, good.
I already said about her smoking a joint back
Okay, good.
years ago. I said, oh, I love your shoes. We were walking to Bye Bye Baby. And you're like, I put on heels to get a new perspective. And I was just like, oh, that's so smart. Like, what did you mean by that?
Well, I was a little taller, and you have to like. I mean, I'm such a klutz, and anybody who knows me knows I'm not really a heels person. On a good day, even when it's not the summer of self-love, because I'm just like klutzy. But when I wear heels, I have to like hold my body a little differently. I have to, be mindful of each step, and you're like
Yeah.
higher up. So I had a different perspective on the world those few times that I wore heels. And when I'm bold enough to do it, it's pretty much for that reason. And I'm like praying and thinking every step I take. So that's no fun.
That's too funny. Do you have any of your favorite one-liners? Or do you not think that you're like a one-liner kind of girl?
I
Like
don't know.
you're just so funny. You just have
I
tons
never
of
know
okay.
that I've dropped one until I see you laughing.
I'm sorry. We're just riffing. So if anyone has a question that they want to ask Lauren or myself around this summer, I called it Summer of Self-Care. So my bad. You said it the Summer of Self-Love. Obviously, I didn't listen. Can you tell us what are other things are you doing for your Summer of Self-Love? Because starting September, as you told me, what's going to happen with the school system might just look like a shit show. So how are you going? Like, what are you doing now to prepare yourself for the shit show?
I mean, I think when I was thinking about the difference and wondering if there was a difference between self-love and self-care, I don't know. There could be, but the things that I've been doing, first of all, I love spending time by myself. I don't know if I do too much of it or if everybody loves it as much as I do, but I think that sometimes over the summer, because I'm fortunate enough to have summers off and I know how lucky I am to have that. Um, but I tend to try to make plans and do this and do that. But this summer I've been spending a lot of time alone and really enjoying that and walking a lot. I live on the top of a huge hill, and right next to me is another big hill. So every morning I get ready and I just take it to the hills, and I just like try to sweat it all out and be as present and as mindful as I can when I'm walking, and spending that time alone, reading a lot this summer, and reading all different kinds of things, and just trying to remind myself to stay present. And like you said before, authentic relationships, I realized this summer. And of course, with the pandemic, not being able to spend time with my mom, who, is such an important person in my life. If I can't spend time with her, why am I going to fill up my calendar with, get-togethers with this one and that one? So, really nurturing those authentic relationships like this one, and making that time to unlearn some bad habits, and just take care of myself so that I can be ready for anything, because who the fuck knows what's next. I mean, this is like a bad sci-fi series for sure. So
Yeah. So we were talking about like the pandemic, and obviously, right? And while of course there's a hundred not terrible things that are going on with the pandemic, I tend to always find some of the things that, you know, are working for us. So one of them that you align with my husband is how you said spending time alone.
he,
Like you're
he is
happy
my
not to have a
he is my spirit
serious.
animal. When I
Yeah.
am wearing my mask and smiling at people, I'm like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
nobody knows. I heard that there's something, I heard somebody, one of the young people I know, saying, like, the trick you can do with your eyes so somebody knows you're smiling. I don't know what the trick is, and I don't give a shit. Like, I'm smiling or I'm not. So he is definitely my spirit animal. I love that guy.
What a spirit animal. And so that part's good. So like that's, people, well, women specifically, I don't think always know how to be alone or to be by themselves or be within their own thoughts, and how you said to really be present, because as you have a lot of titles, you're a teacher, a mother, a wife, a friend, a daughter, like you have a lot of titles that, like, what if when you're just Lauren, when you're just with yourself. So I think that is like such a good tip, and that takes courage. Like, some people can't be by themselves or feel very uncomfortable. Do you ever get uncomfortable, or you really embrace the
I do. I don't actually understand, and I know that there are people out there who don't like the quiet and don't like, as a matter of fact, there's somebody that I'm very close to, and she just, she likes to, you know, either like talk constantly, or that, incessant thinking that
hmm
so many of us are plagued with. And I don't enjoy that. And that I've realized that that doesn't work for me, and that doesn't feel good for me. So there are times in the past where I've wondered if I'm like over medicating with, alone time. Am I
hmm
like, now having difficulty like reintegrating into society?
hmm
But I'm blessed to have surrounded myself with people who love me and get me, and allow me those opportunities, because I can be a better person that way.
Mm, that's so smart. And how you said just to sit in silence, I think that's part of when we have our conversations that I really like, that we're able to hold that quiet space for each other, which, like you said, some people who keep talking, 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 or things like
Yeah.
that just don't know how to do. So it's a different type of being when you're with somebody, and trust and love when you can, because we've gone there. Like we've talked about losing grief. We've
Yeah.
talked about in the past, we aligned with unlearning, consciously unlearning some of the things that at our age of the game,
Yeah.
we realized that as much as, we thought we were, I'm talking for you too, because we just had this conversation, progressive with our thought, there's a lot that
Yeah.
we need to unlearn too as, 40 plus
Yeah.
year old white women in America.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we can talk about it. Also, we've both experienced infertilities and areas around that. And I don't think women often talk about that or feel like comfortable. Where do they go to share that? I think there's a huge shame around it.
Totally.
So I felt so comforting in being able to talk to you about it. I'm pretty, well, to you, I'm open, but like I'm open in general. I've had
Yeah.
miscarriages and,
Yeah.
able to conceive but not hold babies and things like
Yeah.
that. My daughter's autistic, so there's a
Yeah.
whole realm. But just to know, I think part of this summer of self-love is, like you said, being authentic in your relationships, because us preparing for this, right,
Yeah.
and having this relationship, I think God is ready for this shitstorm called the global pandemic.
Yeah. You you could be right. I mean, I I just I don't have time for any of the bullshit anymore. And I think that I remember those first few weeks in the pandemic, just like cooking and cleaning and organizing. I felt very much like a homesteader. Like,
Yeah.
this has to be done, and these are just bare necessities. And, thankfully, I have a roof over my head. I have, enough money to buy food and the things that I need, and sometimes a couple of things that I want. I remember those first few weeks where I couldn't be fussed with any of that other bullshit. And
Yeah.
so now, I'm not ready to go back to any of that unnecessary, frivolous crap and those, relationships that fill up my calendar but don't fill up my soul.
See,
There's one of
there's
my
a good
one-liners.
one-liner. Thank you. And
Yeah,
you, oh my God, how perfect. We come to an
but it's true.
ending
Yeah,
of, yes, they fill
you
up
fill
your
my
soul.
soul. Thank you. You're
Oh,
such a
you do
beautiful
too.
person.
Oh, thank you. And so are you. I was listening to Obama today because there was John Lewis's uh, not funeral. It was a funeral, but
Yes, the
what are
ceremony.
they?
Yeah.
The ceremony, but like a homecoming. Um, and he said, and he was talking about him as a person, and he was like, ordinary, I'm paraphrasing, I cannot speak like Obama, but ordinary people making a difference. Like, it could be anyone making a difference. And I literally immediately thought of you
Oh,
because not only like the huge difference you're making those students, and again, when you talk about understanding having a roof over your head and money to feed yourself, you know it from a level that not everybody sees or teaches, or you're a part of
yeah.
those kids' lives that like you literally tremendously changed their lives, and you've changed mine.
Oh,
So
you too.
thank you, thank you, thank you. So the takeaways here is people build and nurture those authentic relationships. No BS, and don't fill your calendar, fill your soul. Thank you for that
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah. That's an important one. It's okay to be
So,
quiet.
yeah, and it's okay. We'll end with that one. Everyone, take a moment to yourselves this afternoon for the Summer of Love with Lauren. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on today. And everyone, every Thursday, Beyond Small Talk, 4 o'clock hour. Join me next week with my next co-host. Thank you so much. Love you.
Bye, Jax.
Bye.